Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Our last class, we discussed a little bit about recommended actions um, and exemptions, imsak. And if you are exempted from fasting because of a reasonable fear, what does that reasonable fear look like? What is that? How do you evaluate that? And you can see here, this is how we would evaluate those reasonable fears. So what about people who cannot fast at all? What about them? What do they do? This is an obligation. So how do they fulfill their obligation? That's what we're going to look at today. So their solution is something called a fidya. A fidya is like an exchange or like a redemption. So what uh, what does that mean? Well, let's look at this. A fidya is a makeup, is a type of stand-in for people who can't fast at all. So what are these three conditions? They can't fast in Ramadan. They cannot make up the missed fasts. And the third condition is they're not expected to ever regain the ability to fast. So this is important. This is basically who meets these three conditions. Basically, an old person who is who has become like weak, maybe infirm, someone who has basically he's on his way out or she's on her way out. This is um, what that looks like. So a lot of people think that, oh, if I have a chronic illness, if I have cancer, if I have diabetes, then I have to pay fidya. No. If you have cancer, if you have diabetes, if you have chronic illnesses, then you simply defer your fasting. And people say, well, they're not expected to ever get better. They're not expected, according to current medical science and medical understanding, to ever get better. But if you have an illness, there is always a rational possibility that you'll get better. So we do it based on the rational possibility, not on any prognosis. It's an important point that a lot of people miss. So if you have like a chronic illness, unless you are very, very old, and you're not really seriously expected to come back from that, which you're not because you're old, you're not able to do that. That is when you give this fidya. So if you are healthy enough to be walking around and doing your work, and nobody is assisting you with basic things, in that situation, if you're sick, then you are legally expected to get better at some point in the future. It could be 10 years later, it could be 20 years later, but you are legally expected to get better, even though the prognosis medically doesn't fit that. So those kinds of sick people, they just defer their fasting. And let's say that they deferred, and they pass away, that's fine. Then those things are, inshallah, forgiven for them. Fidya is really only for what we call in Arabic a sheikhul fani, the old man who's basically closer to death. This is the fidya. So what is a fidya? It says fidya is half a sa' of wheat. Sa' is one of those old world units of measurement, or weight. So we've evaluated what a sa' is, and it's 2.2 grams. Oh, sorry, 2.2 kilograms. So you have to pay 2.2 kilograms of wheat for each and every fast, which means that if there are 29 days in the month, you pay 2.2 kilograms of wheat um, 29 times. If it's 30 days, you pay it 30 times. And it could be that you're giving the wheat itself, or it says equivalent monetary value, or you're giving the value of that wheat. So you're looking up the price of wheat, 2.2 kilograms is this much money, then you have to pay that much money every day for each and every fast. So this is something that a person basically closer to death and old age, this is what they will do if they are unable to fast. All right, and here is where we're going to stop, and we will uh, look at what comes next the next time we meet. Insha'Allahu tabaraka wa ta'ala.